And our decision to do more around collecting our own taxes, to do more about living within our means, and to borrow less, and to work on our fiscal deficit, I must admit, has paid off better than I even thought myself. And I want to thank the people of Kenya for having confidence in the measures that we have taken. We engage Kenyans all over the length and breadth of our country on the most urgent priorities and the best ways and means of implementing them. Ultimately, it became clear that the new approach to national development was not only going to be ambitious and visionary, it was also going to be radical and transformative. To begin with, the plan was going to turn the national development agenda upside down. From the traditional top-down model that is essentially elite-centric to a bottom-up model that is citizen-centric and people-centered. Secondly, the model would aim to positively impact millions of Kenyans at the bottom by focusing interventions where the greatest number find their livelihoods, which is the informal sector, and especially agriculture and the hustler economy. Thirdly, a new model will entail measures to not only create millions of jobs and increase incomes, but also reduce the cost of living by mitigating the cost of energy, transport, shelter, healthcare as a share of household incomes. We agreed with Kenyans that to deliver this transformative model, 5 sectors would form the core pillars of our agenda to bring down the cost of living, eradicate hunger, create jobs, expand the tax base, improve our foreign exchange balance, and deliver inclusive growth, and to do so from the bottom up. These sectors are agriculture, micro and small medium enterprise economy, affordable housing, universal healthcare coverage, and digital superhighway with a creative economy. These form the pillars of Better, our plan, the bottom-up economic transformation agenda, which sets out my performance contract with the people of Kenya that I entered on behalf of all of us to be delivered by the entire government. The terms of the contract are fairly straightforward. In return for paying their due taxes in a timely fashion, the citizens of this country not only expect, but are entitled to receive the benefits of all government services in a prompt and satisfactory manner. By virtue of our governing mandate, we are committed to the performance of our part of the contract, and so in full. I have talked to many Kenyans as I travel out of my office. I was in Murang'a the other day, and speaking to ordinary people, they have confirmed that they do not want their country saddled with unnecessary punitive debts. They were very clear to me. And they have committed that, yes, they are going to pay taxes, but they demand, and rightfully so, delivery of every service that is due to them, and that nobody steals their money. that they were unequivocal. The robust national debate over the bottom-up economics demonstrated that the people of Kenya are highly engaged with the policies that affect their interests and are ready to give good policies a chance. The animation which characterized national and parliamentary debate over Finance Act is, in my view, had more to do with the absence of a consistent culture of promise-keeping in our politics and of faithful alignment between government policy and the people's aspirations. As a result, there are Kenyans who do not even believe that a government has an obligation to deliver its pledges and view manifestos and campaign platforms as empty political performances and meaningless tricks and noise. You know, because for a very long time, we've made campaign pledges to be what you say looking for votes when you don't actually mean to deliver on them. In fact, there are even leaders, including members of the clergy, who have been sympathetic and tried, with the best intentions, to suggest ways of enabling the government and myself to run away from some of the commitments we made in the campaigns. Some clergy have said, I think it's okay. You made a promise, but it's difficult to keep, so just, you know. And it's because of the culture that has been built. Many people did not believe that we are going to have a hustler fund. Many people did not believe that we are going to reduce the cost of fertilizer. Many people did not believe that we are going to hire 55,000 teachers in under 1 year, because commitments, promises have been made with no intention to keep any of those promises. And I see the difficulty that people have when we have to make difficult decisions. They think that we have overcommitted ourselves. I want to tell the people of Kenya, the commitments we made, the promises we made, we will keep each and every one in full. Some Kenyans are even suspicious that we are implementing revenue measures without any intention to deliver any public services at all, let alone the elaborate agenda that we have set out. While I appreciate the goodwill and concern, I wish to state in no uncertain terms, in order to clear any confusion and to give comfort to all Kenyans, that this administration is committed, fully committed, to the implementation of the pledges and commitments contained in our bottom-up economic transformation agenda plan. We promised that our government would defend the Constitution and constitutionalism, institutionalize issue-based, performance-oriented politics, and implement better our plan. We shall not run away from any of the commitments therein. We will keep them. This is the context in which we have negotiated, developed, and are today going to witness the signing of the first generation of ministerial performance contract for the financial year 2023-2024. Performance contracting in the government of Kenya is now in its 20th year of continuous implementation, and over that time, The performance contracts have evolved into a robust tool employed by government for measuring the performance of ministries, departments, and agencies in serving the people of Kenya. I don't know whether it is because these performance contracts have been going on for 20 years that many people maybe mistakenly think that it is a ritual. And that is why people resort to the old incompetent excuses that there was traffic for them not to be in a public, the most important public function. We have a job because we have a contract. If you cannot keep time with your employer, you have basically dismissed yourself. I mean, it's just as simple as that. So, for those who came late, who are members of the executive, I will be expecting a written explanation, and it should not include matters of traffic, on why they do not take this performance contract seriously. Because if you do not take this performance contracting seriously, it means we do not take the contract with the people of Kenya on performance seriously. And that can be a very serious indictment on anybody. The performance contracts framework has also been critical in enabling government identify, collect, collate, and analyze vital information connected with the performance of public agencies. The overall result of this is that government decision-making has become increasingly evidence-based, and public officers have become increasingly aware of their accountability for actions and omissions, achievements, and mistakes. We have resolved to enhance the overall performance management framework and to leverage its tremendous potential by incorporating the actualization of the better plan, the government performance contracting and delivery mechanism. Our objective is to achieve the highest levels of efficiency and effectiveness in the delivery of public services, ensure accountability in the utilization of public resources, improve the mechanisms of service delivery, realign public agencies with their core mandates, and accelerate the completion of programs and projects. We are here to declare our intention to implement our commitments, serve Kenyans, and to do so in a highly systematic manner. Our performance shall be robust. Our purpose is to make sure that the stewardship of public authority and resources will be responsible, transparent, and accountable. We desire to actualize the twin mandates of citizens' rights and government's obligation by governing well in a people-centric, results-oriented manner. We have made sure that every ministry, department, and agency has aligned their performances and policies with the fourth medium-term plan of the Kenya National Vision 2030, which now incorporates key government priorities under the 5 better pillars. It is now a fundamental duty of cabinet secretaries, principal secretaries, chief executive officers of state corporations, and the principals of tertiary education institutions to implement obligations under their performance contracts by taking every measure to execute key government priorities on time and with the allocated resources. In keeping with our commitment to deliver, the performance contracts have been perfected through a rigorous process of vetting key priorities and ring-fencing their funding through the National Treasury. Every instrument that shall be derived from these contracts for implementation by MDAs must replicate this model, and it shall be the duty of Cabinet Secretaries to ensure full implementation and conformity. As I stated in April, during the launch of Performance Evaluation Report, performance management shall be implemented throughout government, and no public institution funded through the Exchequer will be exempt. You will recall that in our manifesto, we set out the principles that would guide the implementation framework of the bottom-up economic transformation agenda, which is prioritization, sequencing, and financing. Today, we are translating this aspiration to actionable instruments and at the same time unpacking them into the following commitments. Absorption of allocated funds, including externally mobilized resources. And we have indicated in the performance contract, which every minister has a copy, and I also have a copy. So it will be easy for us to know who is doing what and who is not doing whatever. Measures to reduce the levels of pending bills. You know what we need to do about pending bills. Digitization of government services. I already asked every minister, every PS to make sure their ministries, state departments, parastatals, agencies under them work with the ministry responsible, ICT and Interior, to make sure that we move all government services to the digital platform for purposes of efficiency, for purposes of ease of delivery of those services, and making sure that all public resources are accountable, are accounted for. I do not expect that in the next 90 days, before the end of this year, I do not expect any government service to continue in the manual framework. I do not expect. Every government service must be not just on the digital platform, it must be delivered on the digital platform. From first, today, I do not expect any other pay bill for any government agency except what we agreed, government pay bill that will be manned by Treasury. I hope we are all clear. We did agree that all other pay bills will be shut down. And if there will be one that will be operating after today, let me not say beyond that, right? Because for purposes of efficiency, we are on a digital platform so that there are no lost files, there are no gray areas, there are no corners that is gathering dust. We want to make sure that we can demonstrate productivity. It's also important that we complete projects. We have projects in ministries, in state departments that are 20 years old. I told the Ministry of Housing, we have markets, 180 markets that were started 15 years ago under the ESP program. We have now committed resources this year. All those markets should be completed as a priority in the next 1 year. All those markets should be ready. Matters environment are going to be front and center of what we will be doing as well. So the National Tree Cover Restoration Campaign is part of the delivery of every ministry and State Department. We are looking forward to working on internship and industrial attachment. Again, the ministry concerned, we have agreed on what to do. This was our intention 5 years ago, but it was not delivered because of the old culture of making commitments that we didn't have any intention to keep. On internships this time round, we must keep our commitment. I have already engaged the private sector. We have agreed. Government is going to deliver progressively to 20,000 internships every year. The private sector have committed to me that they will deliver up to 50,000 internships every year. We want to see how we can grow this to 100,000 and make sure that we give a chance to many young people coming out of college, coming out of our universities, to practice what they have learned, either for a year or 2 years, acquire some experience, and find their way into employment and also into the market. Access to government procurement opportunities by young people, women, and persons living with disability. As I have said with clarity, that for a very long time, we invested a lot of resources in our human capital, and rightfully so. This year, we have committed 628 billion Kenya shillings for the education of the people of Kenya. That is huge resources. We are deploying additional resources in the hiring of additional teachers. We're deploying additional resources in making sure that we deliver on our TVET program. We are almost doubling resources that will go to our university education, and we are pulling all our universities from being saddled with debt because of the old funding model. But different from the past, this year, we not only have a program on education and training, we also this year have a program on what happens when our children come out of college, come out of school, and come out of our universities. That's why we have clarity on how we are going to create jobs this year. We have clarity that we are going to have a clear plan on how to create jobs. And I expect that every ministry and every department will be aligned, whether it is our housing plan to create 1 million jobs, whether it is our digital space and digital jobs and Ajira and ICT hubs to create digital jobs, whether it is the Ministry of Labor working with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and all other departments that work with human capital development in that space for our foreign employment opportunities, targeting another 1 million or so jobs. That whole ecosystem is now going to be part of what we must deliver as government. We must deliver the jobs as much as we are delivering on education and training. We are also going to work on the project and program of local content. As you've all seen, we've talked about Build Kenya, Buy Kenya, Build Kenya. We've talked about local content.